Hi guys, Catriona here from Slange. Um, I've already had a few messages from people going, "Where are you?" And that's because um, I had put out a wee message to say that tonight we were going to start a wee bit later. So, oh, I've just dropped you. Sorry. I'm not in my usual place because I'm being kind to everybody and trying to work this blooming thing. There we go. I'm just drinking my gin because it's been a really long, stressful day. But anyway, so tonight's chat is going to be on the Covenanters. Let's just see. So I'm just moving you here. Hi. Hi, Des. Hi, Fafa Garlati and TN Smoothie. I think that's right. So tonight we are discussing the Covenanters. And for those who don't know, that was what we now define as the killing time in Scotland. And I thought I would talk about it purely because it leads on to a lot of the other stuff we've been talking about. So, so far we've been mentioning about the Jacobites and Glencoe and things like that. So I thought I would talk a bit about the Covenanters and why their story is so significant when we mention the later parts of Scottish history. So I'm hoping it's now 10 p.m. I'm hoping that I'm catching more people a bit later on in the day. Give me one wee second. Hi, Bonnie. See, I told you I'd be live. Bonnie was like, "Where are you?" So basically, again, just before we start, the reason why I've got my gin out, and this is a rose gin and rose lemonade, because I like drinking gin with lemonade. That's my wee thing. And it's more like Schweppes to you guys in the States. I don't drink it with a tonic. I do drink it with lemonade. But the reason for it is I mentioned briefly yesterday when we were talking about hi Pat, hi New York. We were talking about obviously the tattoo, and all the Edinburgh festivals have now been closed or cancelled for this year. And the impact that that's having is quite significant. So I think if there's anyone online who is being affected, I'm quite happy to have a wee chat and go over any of that with you. But let's get this party started with those Covenanters. And who were the Covenanters? Well, it's a long story, but we'll start from the beginning. So in the kind of mid 16th century, we have what's known as the Scottish Reformation, or the beginning of the Reformation. And what is the Reformation? Well, it is when Scotland goes from being a Catholic country, a Roman Catholic country, to being a primarily Protestant country. And what does Protestant mean? Well, a Protestant is someone who protests an element of the Catholic Church. So before this, in England, we have Henry VIII, who basically divorces himself of the Catholic Church because he wants to remarry. He wants a divorce from his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, because she doesn't give him a male heir. And he's got a bit of a wandering eye and falls for Anne Boleyn. So he wants to remarry. Now, this is a problem for the Catholic Church because divorce is not a thing that's allowed. So he has a kind of fallout with the Catholic Church and says, screw it, I'm going to start my own church. So a little before this, we also have a chap called Martin Luther in Germany who similarly wants to marry a nun because he's like a priest and he wants to marry as well. And so he needs to obviously he protests that element of the church, and it's his teachings which then kind of progress around Europe, and we have Calvin, who goes over to Switzerland, gets his ideas, and then we have people like John Knox who then preach that here in Scotland. If you've been on one of our tours, if you've been to Blackness Castle, Blackness Castle plays a really interesting part in this story because it's where David Beaton, who was the Archbishop of St Andrews, was held after forging the King James's signature when he's, to say that he would be the Regent of Scotland on his death. But David Beaton is more famous because of how he died. David Beaton is the chap who burns the first Protestants in Scotland at the stake in St Andrews. And if you go to St Andrews and you're walking just along the street past University, you'll actually see in the cobbles on the road in one section it says G.W. George Wishart, and there's another one, Peter. Anyway, I'll remember it. This is just off the top of my head, randomly just throwing this in there. But if you go there, you'll see that in the Protestants, and John Knox actually himself was held there during for his own beliefs, and the Protestants got hold of David Beaton. They laid siege to the castle, got hold of him, and strung David Beaton out, killed all his guards. Then they murdered him. They basically defiled his body by urinating on him and other things. And then they stripped him naked and strung his body from the castle wall at St Andrews Castle. So this is really lovely castle, and you look at it and you just think, yeah, somebody's dead, mutilated body hung from that one day. But anyway, so there's obviously this kind of turmoil going on between the new religion, this new reformed religion, preached by John Knox and others. Now, the reason why I brought that up is because it's slightly different. It's more Calvinistic. It's different from what happened in England. The English Reformation kind of started as just being replacing the king at the head of their church instead of the Pope, and doing other minor things. They still, have bishops, and they still had the hierarchy within the church, which is what in Scotland they were rebelling against. They came up with this notion that actually there is no hierarchy to God. I can speak directly to him. It is blasphemy to suggest that anyone is divine in that area, in that department. So for that reason, it kind of equalized the religion, and it took on leaps and bounds within the Scottish people and the mindset, because before this, remember, Mass and things were always said in Latin, and things like that, whereas now we're having John Knox and his teachings, he's defying the powers that be. He's a thorn in the side of Mary de Guise, Mary Queen of Scots' mother, and then famously he throws a chair at Mary Queen of Scots in court, and is probably one of the chief instigators in her general demise. But he also is very good at educating the people and preaching equality in the religion. Fair enough. This doesn't extend to women necessarily, because he didn't think much of women in general, I should say. But he's not always one of my favourite people. But it did change the whole mentality in Scotland, and we started to think in a more egalitarian sort of way, even with our own ability to praise God. Excuse me, it's not coronavirus. It's breathing in air. So that's just a kind of where the Scottish religion kind of comes in, opposed to where the religion in England has come in. Now, crucially, James VI of Scotland, Mary Queen of Scots' son, is raised by his uncle, who has taken, in the beginning at least, who's taken on this new religion. He's a Protestant and a Calvinist as well. And so James has this sort of idea, and James gets really involved in religion and with the witch trials and all the rest of it. So just bear with me a wee second. James Guthrie, we've got lots of chat. I'll come into this in a second. So the difference being that James VI had this kind of more Scottish religion as part of his upbringing. But in 1603, when he goes down to England, he adopts the New English religious system. He then becomes the head of their church and so on. Although he was a very politically astute man, his elder son was meant to be king, and he dies. And I've got a really funny story about that. It's not really funny that somebody died, but it's funny, the story, and I'll tell you that another time. It's just some historical facts which are often left out, which when you hear about them, it's quite amusing. But anyway, but his second son Charles then becomes king, and he's Charles I. And his father already adopts this new idea called the divine right of kings and all this kind of stuff. England is already starting to see, we don't quite like this kind of weird divinity sort of concept. And Oliver Cromwell comes in and he says, no, we're going to change this. We're going to have a Puritan mindset. We're going to cancel Christmas. You can't sing. People are going to get names like, I don't know, like, let me think of a good name. Like, I must smack myself across the head every morning to praise God. Like, that would be a name, first name, or boring and stuff like that. So they were kind of really hilarious names that came out at that time. But anyway, and he obviously has what's known as the English Civil War in England, and against Charles I and his government, and he loses his head for treason, funny enough. And during this period, so Oliver Cromwell replaces the monarchy with his own kind of dictatorship. During that time, people were fairly miserable. You would be if your name was literally miserable. Like I said, pretty hilarious names. And then when Oliver Cromwell dies, his son kind of comes in, but not very popular. So the government then says to, and I'm kind of going over the Cromwell stuff because that's not really what we're talking about. We'll come back to that again another time. But then they ask for Charles's two sons to come back over, who were at the time in exile in France. You've got Charles II and James VII, his wee brother, or James II if you're in England. So Charles comes back over, and he, along with the Archbishop of, I think it was Canterbury, don't want to see what happened with Cromwell happen again. And they're looking across the border into Scotland. And remember, England and Scotland are still two separate countries and still two separate entities. So they look to Scotland and they think, we don't like that kind of equality, egalitarian, no hierarchy in their church concept. We do not want that coming down here. So they basically told all the people in Scotland that they had to adopt the more Anglican faith, the more Episcopalian faith form of Protestantism, and this didn't go down very well with the natives, many Scottish people, and they went to a place called Greyfriars Kirk in Edinburgh, and they had what they called their covenant. And they basically, it comes down to them basically saying, we respect you as our monarch and we will listen to you as our monarch. However, we will want to continue to practice our own faith. You can't interfere with that. This didn't go down very well, and what we now call or define as the killing time started. So it's when the mass executions, torturing, of Covenanters began. So you'd be tortured, you'd be held. I mean, they used horrible torture methods: thumb screws, knee screws, the big wheel, and then they would cut out your tongue, all that kind of stuff. Now, the way we would see the Covenanters today, they would be what you would say as a Presbyterian, a more Presbyterian Scot. And so that's really where that comes from. Now, if you put that into a context of what happened or happens later on, you start to see what I can only describe as vendetta starting to take place. So obviously, this time was absolutely brutal. Many people lost everything. They lost their family members over their religion, and it was pretty hardcore. And one of the people involved was a guy called John Graham, first Viscount of Dundee. I think I've got his title right. And he was also known as Bonnie Dundee, and he's famous as being a very famous Jacobite general during the First Jacobite Rebellion. But he was also known as Bloody Clavers by the Covenanters because of the way he treated them before. So that was quite hard for people to realize. So if I'm looking to fight against the Jacobites for this new regime, where we're going to replace the monarch, I'm going to use, the people who were the persecutors became the persecuted. It's an interesting way. I always called it divide and conquer. You've always got the same puppet masters, but the people are always fighting amongst themselves. It's always great, and it still comes up in conversation in Scotland today. So let me just see if I've got any questions. You're on a walk with you and your pup. Hi, Taylor. That's amazing. Sharon, you're looking forward to learning some more Scottish history. I'm hoping I'm getting this. What kind of car would Oliver Cromwell drive? I don't know. What's the joke? A mini metro? I don't even get it. Sorry, there's some jokes here, folks, on Instagram from people on Facebook. Let's see. Oh, it's too good. Actually, I don't even know. When is splashdown for the Lynn? Okay. I have no idea. It's just gotten really hilarious. Could you swing a cat in there? I actually could. Hold on. It's really, really hilarious conversations right now. So we've got what I once drove to Aberdeen in my bare feet. Well, for all of you who are interested today, I think I might have made a little bit of professional suicide. Sorry, I have no idea what's happening. It's the best thing ever. If you go onto the Facebook page, you can just see it's the best jokes. I have no idea. They don't even mean anything anymore, but they're just absolutely hilarious. But anyway, I made a joke today, and it was pertaining to the Sassenach whiskey brand and the Sassenach tartan. So if you're on my page, go and have a wee look. Honestly, this is the best jokes ever. So let's see, got any questions? You enjoying my talks? Thank you, Karen. And we've got, I'm going to have to like go from the top and go through this because it actually looks pretty hilarious. You like my joke, Stuart? And let's go to Instagram. So let me just see. So we've got Orkney Gin Company. Well, as I said before, I'm drinking gin right now, as you can see. So hopefully I'll try some of your gin. This is the best. I have no idea what's even happening. So again, do I do Outlander tours? Yes, we do Outlander tours. Mainly 1-day tours, 3-day tours, and we do a special guest tour like every single year. So we do well, this year we're supposed to be, hopefully it's still going ahead, we're doing a 7-day Hebrides tour, and we're doing a 5-day Mull tour, and a 7-day I can't even think now, Jacobite tour. So they're all centered around the Outlander brand. Hi, Erin. It's lovely to see you. And I think, like, actually, I have no idea. Oh, I have no idea what's even happening. But it's all good fun. All good fun. So if you come on one of our Outlander tours, you might get to see, well, hopefully they will be back filming soon, once this is all over and we can get out. I know, Erin, you've been on one of my Outlander tours. I know, let's just have a quick peek. I can see a few people have been on Outlander. We've got New Scottish Tours. Hello. And we've got Barbie Girl. Hello. Not seen you here in ages. And Deborah. I didn't even see you coming in there. Have I had much gin tonight? No, this is it. So no, let's get back to the killing time. Or maybe not. I don't know. Do you have any questions about the Covenanters? I suppose that's the big question. Let's see. Awesome. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Hi, Amanda. Let's see. And I've actually got my cat. You can come here. I don't know if you want to see. You come and Gizmo. Yeah. Come and see my wee Gizmo. He's an old man. Come. Here we go. This is my wee cat. Really is great banter. It is really great banter. I have no idea what you're talking about right enough. Hi, Amanda. Lovely to see you again. The kids are obviously not here at the moment. And today you're going to get my cat instead of my dog. She's having a wee sleep. I know. He's actually not a baby. He's 15. Does the tour go to Dundee? It absolutely does not. I don't. Hey? It absolutely doesn't go to Dundee. He is. He's a lovely boy. He's a lovely boy, but he's getting old. But no, so also the answer to our question today, you couldn't present, I can't. So what we were doing was going to give you the answer to the question on the Facebook. One moment, let's get it up. So the Facebook question and the Instagram is at St. Clement's Church in Rodel on the island of Harris. So if you got that right, that would be great. And we can see, let's just have a little look to see who got it right. I saw quite a few people got it right. Oh, let's see. Who is this? So that's practically it. So we're going to put the next one up in a minute, and hopefully we'll see if you guys can get it right or not. And then tomorrow we're going to do the ghost stories, and we're not going to do the Covenanters tomorrow. If you have any questions about the Covenanters and what, let's see. Oh, I forgot to say, today's branding comes from Bowmore as well, for a laugh. The Bowmore Distillery. Let's see. What time tomorrow? Tomorrow will be at 9 o'clock tomorrow. So if you have any Scottish ghost stories, so it'll be 9 o'clock, which I think in the States, I think Eastern time is 5, or it's going to be 5 hours behind. I'll just check that actually. GMT to EST. So yeah, it will be about 5 o'clock Eastern time. And then hopefully we'll go into all the ghost stories. And yes, Sharon, we're going to go into Greyfriars Kirk. And also, if you go down into Edinburgh, there's actually quite a few stories in Edinburgh. And if my pal Laura's on, she's got a few that she can give you as well. Let's just see. It will be PM our time, so not in the morning. So that'll be 5 PM your time, and if you're in New York, so wherever you are in the States, that'll hopefully work. And let me see. Well, yeah, it's Friday tomorrow, and then Saturday we're going back to our wee pub quiz. So that will be less history and more nonsense again, and hopefully more gin. And if you have any whiskey, we'll be bringing that in as well. And there we go. So thank you very much for watching again. And if you have any questions regarding the Covenanters or any pictures of that, we can bring it back in a wee PM, or maybe bring it back in another chat. And let's just see. Yeah, that's it really. Yeah, and yelling. Yeah, there'll be lots of yelling. I think there's a bit of an issue with, as usual, everybody in lockdown is on their internet. So I'm getting half your comments about 5 minutes after I've said them. Tomorrow, I will add to more than one internet. So hopefully that will fix it. Drambuie. I do not have any Drambuie, I don't think, but I've got plenty of whiskey. So there you go. So thank you for taking part, and say hi to your mother-in-law, Amanda. Nice to see her. And Erin, don't worry, tomorrow 9, I think we might do it again at 10 or maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock on Saturday. So if you can't make tomorrow, take part then. And yeah, it's been fun as usual. Hopefully you've got some Scottish history. And yeah, see you then. Take care. Bye.